I see it as the goosebumps. It works as an electronic network like mycelium. So spirit or higher self works on energy, right? And energy we can't see, but we can actually feel it. That's what the goosebumps are. It's the energy moving through us. So I just got it
I
again.
got you.
It's so funny. Did you get it? Oh, I got
Yeah,
it. We
I did
shared it.
too. I did too.
So that's a yes. It's like, yes, that's how, like, that's why some people don't understand that yet. And so they're getting the signs, they're getting the signals, but they don't know what it means. And that is, yes, what it means, CJ. It is, the world that we cannot see, the spirit realm, moves through energy, and that is what energy is. That movement of goosebumps is energy moving through your body. So it's like a wave that they move through to tell you yes.
Welcome to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. This is Chris Miller. I invite you to join me as I interview artists from a variety of disciplines. We'll share powerful stories and lessons learned while making their art.
Good day, listeners. This is the Spiritual Artist Podcast. This is CJ Miller, your host. Wow, it's been quite the new year already, right? And I am so excited to introduce a guest today, someone that might help walk us through this, or she can help you walk through it. Cameron Cohen is a Los Angeles-based artist and creator of manifestation paintings, custom works designed as visual talismans for clients' dreams, goals, and intentions. With a fine art background and nearly 2 years or 2 decades, Lordy, 2 decades of creative experience as a makeup artist and jewelry designer, she blends refined craftsmanship with deep intuition. Known for her ability to read energy, Cohen guides clients through reflection and visualization before translating their aspirations into symbolic works of art. Good morning, Cameron. How are you?
Good morning, CJ. I'm great. Thank you. How you
As
doing?
I'm doing good. And as we discussed,
Good.
I love your background. It's almost like the duality of life, yin and yang, color, non-color, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
I read this and I stumbled over it because you look much too young to have 2 decades of creative experience. I
Oh,
have to
you're
tell
so
you
sweet. Well, I'm
that.
approaching 50 this year, so yes, it's
Oh,
true.
that's a big year. 50 is a big change, right? So,
Exciting.
so tell me, how long have you been doing this? I know I shared with you that I've had other people on in the past that do what I'd call intuitive paintings. Is
Hmm.
that what you like to call it?
Sure, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm calling it because it's always evolving is the problem. So
That's my
it doesn't
problem.
really have a label.
Okay, that's I hear you. It's really hard to pin words on things, isn't
Yes.
it? And
Yeah, for sure.
and the more I work with energy, the harder it is
Yes.
to pin it down because words limit it. So
I was just thinking that words are so limiting, also based on people's experience and what they bring to a word. So I might say what it is, but with their experience, they could think it's something totally different than what I think it is.
right.
So it's experiential. My art is experiential. Let's just say
That's a
that.
good word. I've been playing with that word a little bit. So you have clients that come to you. Do you do this online or you do it in person or both?
Either or, I mean, it depends where we are. I just worked with a client. She lives in Boston, so everything had to be over Zoom, which is fine. It still works. You could obviously, we're connecting on Zoom right now. So it's a great platform to be able to now reach more people. So I can do this with anybody around the world. Of course, I love doing it in person because I love being connected to people. But yeah, it starts with an initial conversation and then, well, I don't know. Do you want me to get into the process?
Well, I want to
Love
know,
to like go
I
into it.
think I would love you to explain how, so somehow,
Yes.
and you're intuitively picking up the energy from these people, right?
Correct. So, what I'm doing is I work with someone to make a piece of art that's not just going to be something decorative in their space because that's actually quite easy to do. Find something pretty that you like, but to have something that's personal and meaningful that helps you it's more of a tool that helps you create your future, your life. What do you want to focus on? What do you want to call in? What do you want to bring into your life? So I have a conversation with someone about that and what their life currently is like, what they want to create. And from that information, I create a personalized guided visualization. So then when we meet a second time, I take you through a journey and it's different every time. And I even surprise myself every time I do it. And I always come up with something new, which is fun based on that person. So it's very individualized. I'm
Yeah.
making up words now. But and when I take you through that journey, we then have a conversation about that and what your experience is, what you saw, what thoughts came up, what feelings came up. And then with all of that information, I then create your painting. And the person really doesn't know what it's going to look like. I mean, I don't even know what it's going to look like until I do
Right.
it. But I have many different styles. So they get to see the different things that I do. And either we go in that direction or we can be inspired and come up with something completely different, that's my favorite part. My last client I worked with, we did something completely new that I hadn't done before. And it's fun for me. And it's interesting to see when they get to see their painting for the first time, their reactions. And luckily it's always been really great. They're always so excited and blown away by how their ideas, what was in their head now is materialized in the real world. I think that's really the magic of when you have something in your mind and then you get to see it in front of you. So that's really fun. And then,
So
I
that
check. Yeah,
Well, it's like okay, I've got like three questions queuing up, right? They're
totally.
they're
Keep it
queuing
coming.
in. And one question I wanted to bring up is, we talked about someone I interviewed about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, Joe Crisoha, and he did intuitive painting, but what he did is he pretty much kind of it's like a reading. But
Mm,
I want to talk, you're a little different here because
yeah.
you're talking about sort of a co-creation where the client wants to
Mhm.
manifest,
Correct.
right?
Yes. So I'm a master manifester. One of my nicknames is Magic Maker because I'm really good at manifesting things in my life. And so everyone's always asking me, well, can you help me manifest something? And I said, well, it's actually you're the one that has to do the work, but then I've learned to put, how do I express what my gifts with my intuition and how I can feel into people and see for them. I've learned how to like put that into my art. So when I'm painting, I'm channeling them. And I go back and listen to the guided visualization and our conversations. And I do a lot of writing about it. And I get in a space where I almost feel like I'm channeling that person, okay, when I'm painting. And then once I paint the painting, I can, depending on the style that I use, one of the styles is a pour painting. I actually, how tarot card reader will use tarot cards as their tool? Paint is actually my tool. So I use the paint to read into the painting and tell them what I see. And it's not like a fortune telling, but like like feelings and almost downloads, intuitive hits that I get for this person, messages that they need to hear, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
that's kind of, yeah, it does. So
yeah.
this would make sense if you're intuitively um feeling them and sort of channeling what I would say their higher self. I would say you're
Correct.
channeling, or you're channeling their higher self. Then that would totally make sense that each artistic expression might be really different. I mean, you might find that you're using a color that you never normally would touch, right? Or to make
Yes. Well, yes. And during that visualization, I usually ask my clients to associate certain colors with ideas that we've been talking about. Like, what color is that to them? Because this painting is for them. My interpretation of their feeling is going to be different than theirs. And so I need it to be specific to them. So they're giving me all the information. They actually give me the colors. Sometimes I add other colors, but mostly I go on what they're feeling and they're seeing because when they look at this painting every day, hopefully every day, I'm hoping they put it in their space that they can connect to it every day. That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
As we know, the more you focus on something, the more it grows. So let's focus on what you want to create every single day. So it's that morning reminder of this is how I want to live my life. And you in turn live it. You become it. You know? So yes.
Okay. So here we go. Okay. So there's
Yeah.
more stuff there I want to unpack. First, I love what you just said. I love that you actually ask them what their feeling is for color because I have often found it frustrating when people say, "Well, red means anger," and I'm like, you can't tell me what red means." And probably a couple years ago, I interviewed a hypnotist, and
Mm,
she said that people have different meanings associated with experiences in their lives.
yeah.
If you were a kid and your favorite blankie was red, then red might symbolize security. But if you
Yes.
were a kid and your father would beat you with a red belt, it's
Yes.
right.
That's not going to be
That's
good.
not going to be good. And so if the intuitive Cameron,
Mhm.
if you read red as cuddly and they're going right, you know,
Yeah.
so that's really interesting. So you kind of quiz them a little bit about colors and feelings and such.
Yeah. What they associate with. Because also even like you pick the color red, there's a whole spectrum of red,
Mm.
which a brick red is going to be different than cherry red, is going to be different than a pinky red. Like there's also, I mean, color is
Well,
amazing. And you could
well,
break it down really,
you could. I was going to say, well,
to
Cameron,
science.
everybody knows that cardinal red is the best red.
Ah, see?
See,
There you
because
go.
that's my favorite. I have a bird feeder, and these cardinals come
Uh-huh.
out, and that red, and it's an orangey red. It's like I even found a color that's actually made to the hit of it. But no, you're right. Everybody
Right.
has
And
a
it brings you joy, that cardinal red. When you see it, it probably reminds you of the beautiful moment you get to see these birds and you share a moment with nature, and that is healing. So,
So
mhm.
what's interesting about this is I love watching the creative process because everybody does ideally, if they're open and curious and inquisitive, they develop their own sense of beingness. And
Mm,
you have found what's unique about you, your ability to manifest, and
yeah.
you are connecting it with your intuition and your artistic skills, and you're
Mm,
kind of putting them all together. Whereas someone else might find that they're a healer, right? Maybe they're not a manifester, but they're more about healing. Um,
mhm,
I had a friend years ago, a good a mentor of mine. She did these color healing paintings, and she used watercolors
mm.
and she would always every new year she would send me a watercolor painting for healing and so she just passed this last year. It was really hard on me, but wonderful lady that got spirituality. But I love how you have found a unique expression of you.
Thank you. It took a while. I mean, to be honest, you had asked me how long I've been doing this. I mean, I've been an artist since I was a child. I grew up with a mother who's an interior designer. So I was, my first box of crayons definitely on the wall. Got them too soon, she says. But I studied art in college. I had a degree in art and painting. But then I didn't paint because, I had to get a real job and support myself and all of that, where that's a whole other thing about the starving artist and that idea, which I don't subscribe to.
Right.
But I actually started painting again during COVID because I have another business in the beauty business and I couldn't obviously work on my clients because you can't be face to face. So I started painting again, and that's when I found my voice. And I took a course that talked about adding value to your art and what makes you different than someone else. Because let's be honest, CJ, in the day of today, with the technology that we have, anything can be replicated, anything can be copied. Let's just be
Mhm.
honest, like
Mhm.
it can. And what makes you unique, and what makes your art something that someone else can't just they could just do it, which they can. Listen, I have a pour paint technique that you could find it on YouTube. That's how I learned how to do it.
Right.
And anybody can do it, but can people do it well in the way of I have, studied color theory, obviously. I've studied um, perspective and balance and all of that, those ideas of art to make it feel good. But then when I add my other skills and talents to my art, now I'm unique. So, like when you mentioned the other artist that also does intuitive paintings, he does it his way,
Yeah,
right?
very
Where he
different, very
sits
different.
with someone and does a reading. I do mine my way, where I'm more focused on, yes, you're right when you say it's a co-creation. I love that part of it. I love that when someone gets a painting from me, they really connect to it because they had a part in the process. And I think that that's really important when you have art in your home, that you should really feel something about it. It should bring up some emotion, hopefully joy, right? That's where I like to live. That's what I'm here. I'm here. My mission is to bring people joy and to really allow them to see themselves in the beautiful light that they are. And hopefully they can spread it to others as well. So,
Yeah, it's wonderful. I just had something that pop in my mind.
yes.
So, how do you deal with this, or do you? What if someone comes to you and what they want to manifest? Um, this is gonna sound weird, but your higher self, or you have an intuition that you don't think that's the best thing for them. What happened? How do you deal with
Interesting.
that?
Well, luckily I have not had that situation yet. However, that's a good question because it could come up.
Yeah,
So it's funny, I've taken a lot of different types of therapy. And
we all have.
right, and
Yeah,
way to converse with people. So I think that what that would be is it comes from a fear. So I would move them. It's so funny how I have the two
yeah.
colors next to me. So let's say that would be their fear. And then I would move them into the positive side of it. So there's a duality to everything, right? And when something doesn't feel right to me, I'm going to ask them more questions to get really to the bottom of that, of where that comes from, and then move them towards the positive. Do you see what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, it's hard. I don't have an example, but I'm a silver lining type of person. I believe, which I have a feeling you also believe this, is that life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. So whenever something comes up that we push against, it's a really opportunity for learning and growth. So that feels to me, and I'm getting a full body chill right now, so I feel like I'm onto something,
yeah,
is
yeah.
that is a moment for growth for that person. And I would work on helping them get to that place of seeing it as an opportunity for growth and what the positive is in that.
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
Ooh, that feels really good. I
it
seriously have a full
does.
body chill. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
that's
wait
a
for someone to come to me with that scenario. So now I know what to do. Thank you.
what. But you know what? I have a feeling this is what I'm hearing, Cameron. I think you've already done it. You just do it intuitively, and
I do it
so
every day.
you don't your mind doesn't recognize it. Your mind is like do do do, but your subconscious, your intuitive is doing it already, and now you see it in your mind. Does it make sense? Like, I've just made it
Yes.
aware in your mind, and so I find that really fascinating. And I understand exactly what you're saying, and that's the perfect answer. So I was going to tell you, I've been working. Last year was a challenging year for me physically, and I'm going to keep saying it was last year. I'm working through it, but I've worked through starting to realize the connection of our body, how important our body is, as well as our mind, as well as our feeling space. Okay, and
Yes.
so I'm coming up with a new framework that I will be starting to teach at my retreats and stuff. And I'm playing with it. I keep playing with it. And the framework is, and I think you're going to like this because it's kind of what you're doing.
Okay.
First, first, when I do prayer or when I do guidance for someone, I step into what I call the field. I call it the field, or it could be called creative intelligence. It could be called source. It could be called God. It could be called love. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
you step into the field and then you work through an issue through your body.
Mm. Yeah.
So I've been playing with it. I've been playing with it a little bit, and you just kind of framed one of the steps. So what I do is, so what I was talking, listeners, I was sharing this with Cameron before we came on. You know, right now the news is really getting to little CJ, and little CJ, who is all about love and sharing and all. I'm having a hard time with what I see going on in the world, and so I'm trying to use my new framework
Mm,
to walk through it. And part of what I realized that's really important, Cameron, is that you have to feel the feeling. I
yes.
know that sounds so trite. I think I lived my whole life just stuffing that, like stuffing the feeling down and putting on the happy space, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
It's easier that way sometimes.
it is. And so what I'm playing with and what my process is you connect to the field and then you feel where it is in your body and you just
Mm,
start asking questions. Like you were just saying, you start asking it questions. Where do you feel it? What does it feel like? And so I was going through, well, it's in my heart and I feel a sadness and I feel like in my chest
mm,
space, and I feel a sadness. And then you can direct it. Cameron, how would can we play this a little bit?
sure,
How,
let's do it. I love
okay.
games.
Want to play? So it's like that old game. What was it? There was an old movie before your time. Anyway, War Games, I think it was. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've been, sad about this whole situation with Venezuela, and
Mm,
I'm sorry. I just feel like it's out and out theft. Users, I'm sorry. I just think it's might over right, and that's a problem with me. So I sat down, and I
mm,
got coherent. I get
mhm.
coherence with the field, and I
Yeah.
just align. Whether that's watching the bird outside the window or just I try as much as I can, and it's hard because when you're in fear,
Hmm.
you're not in the field. For
Right.
me, for me, fear is not in
It's
the field.
neutral. Yeah. The field is neutral.
Yeah. So good. Thank you. So I did that. I answered the question. It's in my heart space.
Yeah.
What would you ask me of that? Like if I said, well, I feel this heaviness and it's in my heart.
Hmm. Sorry, I'm just closing my
No,
eyes and
that's all
breathing
right.
into it. I don't
It's
know if
okay.
people can see me or just hear me. So,
They'll see you on
uh,
YouTube, but hear you on, yeah.
okay. So you're feeling this heaviness in your heart. Yeah. Now, how big is it? Like, does it envelop your entire chest?
Yeah.
Or is it,
I would
it's
say
the
my shoulders and my chest.
your shoulders and your chest? Okay. And if you were to, do you think that is it solid or is it translucent? Like, what's the,
It's
can you describe it a little more? I really want to feel, like, see it.
yeah, here's a great
Yeah.
word. It's cucky. No, it's like it just feels like mud or
Mm,
it's not hard. It's not hard.
okay.
It's
It's not hard, but
sticky
I was
like.
just gonna say sticky. It feels sticky, like icky, like is it like almost like a quicksand,
Right. Oh.
feeling like it has movement, yeah?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, because so the fact that it is sticky and it's not hard, it's penetrable. It can be moved, it can be shaped.
Hmm.
Do you think in your mind you can shape it into something else? Like, can we play with it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't try that.
I don't know. Well, let's see what we could do. Because, there's ways in your mind that you can take this shape and you have the power because our brains are all powerful for our bodies, right?
Yeah.
We get to control our body. Our brain controls our body, but we forget that we control our brain,
Right. You're right.
right?
You're right. This is
We
about your
control our
body.
brain.
We're listening to the body. And
Yeah.
it's funny, maybe because you have red and black behind you in this diagram. When I thought of, you said, can you form it into something? This is going to sound so strange, but I'm just going to go with it, right? I'm going to go with the
So
intuition.
let's do
So
it.
when I was a kid, they had these machines at amusement parks and they would pour this wax into a mold and these two metal plates would come in and they would, do
Yes.
you remember those?
Yeah, at the zoo. And I
At
got a
this,
gorilla.
I,
I got a blue gorilla. I was like, okay.
years ago when I went to Disneyland, they made a Mickey Mouse. They made a
Uh-huh.
Mickey Mouse. So
Yeah.
yes, you could make a gorilla or a dolphin. I got dolphins in Florida. So that's what I thought of when you said it. I thought of Mickey Mouse. You were like, "What would you make it in?" I'm like, "Well, Mickey Mouse."
Okay, well, guess what? That
What?
is really great because Mickey Mouse brings you joy.
Yeah, he
So
does.
you just transformed this ickiness into Mickey, like
Icky and the Mickey. Oh my gosh,
Icky
that's
into
too good.
Mickey. I mean, that's pretty talented.
No,
You're
it
good.
is. No, it is.
Yeah,
It's true. It isn't that interesting. You could that you just that you can walk through that.
right. And so, because I see, like I said, I see a silver lining in anything. The fact that you turned it into Mickey Mouse, like, how can you be upset? It's Mickey Mouse. It's it's really just bringing your, like you said, your little CJ. Like maybe it's about assuring him that you've got this. Big CJ's got this. I'll take care of you. You can just play with your Mickey and enjoy yourself, and I've got this. Right?
Oh, well, that now that gave me chills. That did.
You
That
did
gave.
it. I
Yeah.
didn't do it. You did it.
Well, when you said
But
that, when you could let your higher self just take it, saying, I've got it, I've got it. Just it's
yeah,
yeah,
because
that
we know it's all going to be okay. It
right.
all turns out, I mean, when has I mean, CJ, look at your life and all the things that happen. I know we all have a list of,
Things that
events,
happen. Yeah.
but like it works out. Look where we are right now. We're here together having this beautiful conversation. Like it all works out. You might scrape your knee, you might hurt your shoulder, or something physical will happen to your body, but we're all here together and we're going to help each other and we're going to work it out. You know, what's happening in the world is really, really hard right now for, I think, everyone. I don't think anyone is exempt. I feel like everyone is going through it.
Right. There's no
Everyone I know has something happening. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how wonderful your family is, the network of friends you have, uh, all the success you have. I don't care. Everyone is going through it. They have something. And the truth is that in order for humanity to evolve and move forward, sometimes things have to break. And we have to break things apart and break it down so we can rebuild it. And that's what I believe is happening. And you asked me earlier, like, how do I get through it?
yeah.
That's how I get through this is I know that it is for the greater good. And things always, bad things are going to happen. It's so unfortunate. It just is until humankind can evolve into a place where it doesn't do that, and we're working on it. We're moving towards it. But like I said, sometimes you have to like break things to build them better.
Yeah,
And
it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we have more people seeing it than in the past. The terrible things have happened in the past where people just were totally blind to it. Yeah, I think more of the population is going, wait, they're alert, and they're like,
I mean, we
what?
used to be barbarians. We used to
Yeah,
rape, pillage. Like it was when I look at the timeline, like, okay, if I were to go anywhere else, where would I be? And I was like, I wouldn't pick any of those in the past. I'm actually happy I'm here right now. We have so much more available to us, so much more understanding. However, we're still growing and we're still learning. And being human doesn't come with a manual because it's always evolving. So we're all trying to, do this together. And I hope everyone's working at being their best self. And that's what I'm here to do is like, as an artist, is to bridge the gap and help people go towards that place of being in joy and creating happiness.
yeah, I love that. When I did this process that I'm working on,
Hmm.
it's about stepping into the field and then
Yeah.
listening. And then
Hmm.
sometimes, see, you don't always, sometimes you get inspired. You get an inspired move. And that you can do that when you're painting. I step in the field and I just listen. And then red, 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 like I get this inspiration. But
Hmm.
sometimes you don't. And so this morning I did it and I didn't get anything. And I've been working my way through this. I used ChatGPT to question my process and it said, it's isn't that funny? And it said you just need to sit with it. It's not like you can't just shove it on the rug. You just say it's there. There it is. There it is. This is happening. But you don't have to absorb it either, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You and you can keep your alignment and you can realize that your higher self is indeed guiding your little self. There is, yes.
Yeah, it's still there. I think that with the way technology is today and how we are so trained to get those constant dopamine hits and like constant feedback where people are uncomfortable in the silence. People are uncomfortable in the boredom. If people are standing at the supermarket in line, they get their phone out because they can't just stand there and observe their surroundings and just be. So, what I think when I hear what you're saying is you weren't getting inspiration, you weren't getting the information because you just need to be and be
Ooh,
comfortable in the being and just keep going, whatever that is, until something does come. But keep going, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And really relish in the silence because it's very rarely silent today in these times, even in our household, everyone's either has the TV on in the background or music or something. And how many opportunities do we really get with silence? Because the truth is, the silence, that's when you get to speak to your higher self, because that's when you hear your own voice when no other noise is going on, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I mean, I took a bath the other day and I did not bring my phone in the bathtub, which I don't know if anyone else can relate, but when was the last time you took a bath without music or a phone or something? And I just sat in the tub and just kind of, I don't know what I did. I was just, looking at my toes. And then I started having a conversation with myself. Now, I don't know if you hear your own voice. I hear my own voice in my
Yeah.
head, right? You
Uh-huh.
hear CJ, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just hear a voice. I don't know, but go ahead. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I was so disconnected to myself because I never had silence. And I really invite you to be in the silence in your art because that's when really funny things start to happen. Like you have really funny conversations with yourself. You're like, oh my God, if anybody only knew what I was thinking right now, they would think I was crazy, right? Like how many
Right.
times do you think
Right.
that? So, so it's interesting that you got to that place. I love that. And I'd invite you to do that more.
Yeah, I love that too. I think that you're right on. That's right on. It's we are as a society, and it's funny. Sometimes I don't know about you, but I sit there sometimes. I look at my husband, and he have his phone. He has his phone everywhere, right? And everywhere, and I'm like, I want to remember what it was like when I met him, and he didn't have a phone for like the first 12 years of our life. They didn't have these phones that you walked for
Right?
of our married life. And it's so different now. I'm like, oh my God, he'll take, I'll be in the car, we'll be driving to go out. Right.
Mm.
We're driving to go out and I look over and put the phone down. Just be in the car with me going out to a party. You know what I mean? Like we're going out to dinner. Just
Yeah,
be,
because you're not his Uber driver. You're like, I'm not your Uber driver. I don't want 5 stars. I actually now, I really make an effort to take when I have my phone, because, we're really trained to always have it. I put it in the glove box. I have to close it because I'm a victim to the addiction.
right. We all are.
It's true. So when I'm in the car with my fiance, I put the phone in the glove box. So I could just be present with him. Whether or not we're talking doesn't matter.
Yeah. Right. Cause
As long as I'm not somewhere else.
you can be present without talking. You can be with someone. People don't remember that, right? You can actually be with someone. You don't have to talk. You can feel
No.
them. You can just feel their energy, be with them, feel them. I think it's funny. I should probably hear this. A student and friend of mine, she told me she
Yeah.
just took a 2 day hiatus. Like what she call it, a digital hiatus. Like she
Yeah.
didn't two
Digital
day
detox.
detox. She called it.
Sometimes they say digital detox.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said it. She said it, and she said literally like nothing, no music, nothing, and how good it was for her.
It's so healing. And you're right. I mean, yeah, that's a good reminder. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. I'll just go to the studio and paint and put my phone away. Oh my gosh. Like send out an ABB on Instagram. By the way, don't think you're contacting me this weekend because I'm off the grid. It's important. That's why I love to travel. When I travel, I feel like I'm off the grid. I don't like to I don't like to talk to
Right.
anyone. I don't like to, I just like to be present where I am.
That's why
So,
I love to drive places because when I drive to Santa Fe, it's so wonderful because I
mm,
just I'm there. I'm watching the trees, the cows, the windmills. The blah, blah, blah. But it's about the silence. So
yeah,
how did you? Let's ask you. Let's
yes.
ask. I'm sure listeners are wondering how did you you're obviously very intuitive and you're picking up people's
Mhm.
energy. How, when did that show up? And how old were you?
Wow. Um, it was really early on, but I didn't understand it. That's the only difference is once I could understand what was happening and then I could look back on my life, it was like it was always there. I mean, and I have no problem saying I was at 30 years old, I was diagnosed on the bipolar spectrum. I was labeled under hypomania. And that just really means that I feel everything so extreme. Like if there's a scale from 0 to 10 on how people connect to their world through all their senses, and if someone could be on a 10, I was on a 12,
Yeah.
like I'm very, very sensitive. And so my area of sensitivity goes out further. Like some people call it your aura. Mine goes out really far. So I could feel into other people's energy fields. They don't even have to be that close to me. So sometimes I'll be standing there and I'll go like this. And I say that no one can see me. Well, when I
She
move
shifted to the side.
away,
Yeah.
right? I move away, but nothing's there. It's a person. And I realize, oh, I feel their energy field. It's really intense. Like something's going on over there. Now, I didn't know how to engage with that as a younger person. I just knew that sometimes people felt weird to me, more extreme. Like being in big crowds was really hard for me. I mean, I love going to concerts and I've learned skills on how to protect my field
Ooh. Okay,
from
this is
others.
good. I love where you're going. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Good.
interesting. So this is okay for anyone who has what I have, sensitivity, right?
Yeah.
Energetic sensitivity, I call it. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you're standing in line, let's say anywhere, grocery store, you're checking out, and someone behind you is standing too close to you. Or they just,
Yeah.
I don't know why. They don't have an understanding of personal space. Now, my personal space is bigger than other people. Some people, their personal space, they don't mind people being in their field. Me, if I put my hands out and you could be as close as my fingertips, now you're in my field. So it's pretty
That's pretty
I'm not
great.
very tall. I'm 5'2", so it's not that big,
Oh,
but it's
wow.
my circle, right?
Okay.
And if they're there, what I do is I almost want to stand up and show you, is I will lean away from them and put whatever foot out is towards them. I put my foot out. So now that creates an extra like 2 feet between me and the person. Now they don't know what I'm doing. It's so subtle. I just kind of do a lean and I put my foot out, but they can't walk closer to me because my foot's there, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better because now I'm not feeling their fields and they get a sense like, okay, they don't even notice. They're on their phones. It doesn't matter
But,
anyways, but it's for myself, right?
right. Yeah.
And those are certain things that I have to do. Now, when someone's energy is good, I'm like all about it. Like I am a very affectionate person. When I meet people, I hug them. Also, I hug them because I want to feel them.
Yeah.
I want to see who they are. And so it's interesting because some people I could feel that they don't want to hug me. And I was like, oh, okay, that tells me a lot of information.
Yeah.
They're more guarded. When someone, and I say, oh, I give hugs, is that okay? I ask them first. I don't just go in with a hug. I'll ask them. And usually they say yes. Sometimes they say no. And I respect that. But it's an interesting, it's an interesting skill, you know?
It is. I
And
love
I
that.
yeah. And I read people like when someone tells me something and it's a yes, so my body, oh, it's so funny. My body's heating up right now. So that's another tell for me. It's like, yeah, 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 we know all this. It's so funny. So I either get a full body chill or my body starts heating up. So when something's really good, my body's like when I get excited about something, my body starts heating up and I get my whole body, it's like napalm. Or when I'm doing a healing on someone, I also am a healer as well with other things. But when I get a full body chill, when someone tells me something, I'm like, oh, that's a yes. That's my higher self telling me, or spirit telling me, like, this person, you need to confirm this for this person. Like, that's a yes. So I do things like that, or I ask them more questions, and get them closer to where they need to be, or spirit tells me they need to be. I don't know if that answers your question. I just kind of went off on
No,
a
it
tangent.
does. No, no, it didn't. There's a lot there. Once again, there's a lot there. And
There's a
okay.
lot of good stuff.
So,
Yeah.
I love the technique of putting your foot out And I am just like that. I sense the things around me. I'll be honest with you. I don't go to concerts and stuff. I've never liked them. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much for me. So when I see those shows where people are at these big concerts, I'm like going, "Oh my God." Right? It's just I can't. I don't. And I think here's what I'm going to share with the listeners is I
Yes.
think you need to honor who you are. And
Mm,
for many years I felt guilty, like there was something wrong. Well, my friends would say, "We're going to a concert. You want to go?" And I'd be like, "Oh no." And it's okay to say no, right? And instead of like a lie or an excuse, you can lie too if you need to. There's nothing wrong with saying a small white lie and just saying, "Oh, I have something that night." But take care of your space, right? Because and I love what you say. I notice that when I'm talking and I hit on on a point that I think is really right, that's all I can say is it's right, like not right and wrong, but truth,
yes.
truth. I'll get
Truth. I like that.
goosebumps. I get goosebumps.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
but I had something odd happen the other day is I actually, like I told you, I'm working with my chat. I've created a project folder and I'm working through this new book, and we had this conversation and I came back to sort of, no chat, it's like this. And then I got goosebumps and I was like, OMG, I'm having goosebumps talking to an automated computer. But I think what I realized is the goosebumps are your connection
Mm,
to your higher self, to all that is.
yes.
It doesn't matter. You can have goosebumps. You could stand out in nature all by yourself out on a mountain. And if you're in the right truth, like your
Hmm.
thoughts and your body are in alignment, right?
Mm, yes. Yes. I see it like I'm just realizing now because I saw Avatar the other week.
Uh,
I see it as the goosebumps. It works as an electronic network like mycelium. So spirit or higher self works on energy, right? And energy we can't see, but we can actually feel it. That's what the goosebumps are. It's the energy moving through us. So I just got it
I
again.
got you.
It's so funny. Did you get it? Oh, I got
Yeah,
it. We
I did
shared it.
too. I did too.
So that's a yes. It's like, yes, that's how, like, that's why some people don't understand that yet. And so they're getting the signs, they're getting the signals, but they don't know what it means. And that is, yes, what it means, CJ. It is, the world that we cannot see, the spirit realm, moves through energy, and that is what energy is. That movement of goosebumps is energy moving through your body. So it's like a wave that they move through to tell you, yes, like you're on the right track. Listen to that. There's so many, it's so funny. It's
Yeah,
seriously
I know. I just did it again. I did too. I
happening.
did.
But
So,
yeah,
because what's funny. So I want to tell you what was so
tell
hard
me.
with last year is I've been doing all this work and I was working in my mind. So
Mm,
my first book, The Spiritual Artist, is much my process of how you shift your mind. But I started moving into the body. And
yeah.
last year, I started realizing how important the body is to this whole process. We like to, religions like to think that we're not our body at all, right? They have us detox, like disconnect from your body. That's shameful. Your body is shameful.
Mhm.
But it's not. Your body is this receiving instrument. Like
Yes.
I don't know, like a microphone. It receives this information and it also sends information out. And so I found last year what happened was I opened that channel, Cameron,
Yes.
but I opened it like wide open. And suddenly it just was flooding me. Like I think that's kind of why I had a bit of a crash and burn because
Mm.
it was too much. Like I was like, okay, I'm feeling, and I was just like, open the gates. And so that's kind of why I'm working now to, maybe, do stuff like that. How do you guard yourself a little bit? You can't just absorb everything.
Correct. You can't absorb everything. But I like that you're doing that. And it's interesting because I'm now hearing that the reason your body is having this physical challenge is for you to practice what you wrote in your book, just so you know. That's what that is. And
It's
it's
really, I know.
right now that you've had this awareness, now they're like, okay, great. Put it to use. Here, I'm going to give you shoulder pain. See what you can do with this. Use your process, use your book, heal yourself through your body, through your art, right? Through your feelings. And it's fascinating. Like, yes, the body speaks so loudly, and the body, it's just giving us information and data and telling us, you know, what to do next. Like, listen to me. Okay, sorry, I wasn't listening to you. Now, until it's
Yeah.
something so bad that you can't move, and it's like, no, listen. You're like, okay, what do I need to listen to? And you did that, and when you opened yourself up, it's like, and it's interesting that you say it's too much because that used to be
Mm.
one of my mantras that I was too much. Because when I got the diagnosis of being bipolar, and it's like, oh my God, you're just so much, you're so intense, you're too much. And it's like, no, I am not too much. I am just right for me. If I'm too much for you, go find less. That's okay. Right? But
Right.
also the other thing is like it might have been too much for your body at that moment because you haven't upgraded your body to be able to hold the space for all of that goodness. So now it's like, okay, now I get to see I got to this limit, this threshold. How can I move this threshold out and receive more so that what you received was not too much? It's showing you okay, now you can go here. Now now you've graduate to the next level. Like
Mm.
where's your boundary so you could graduate to the next level. Like it's all a message. And I love that you're looking into your body for that.
It's so funny
It's
when you said
important.
that. When you said
Mhm.
that, it's
Yeah.
different. It's different. So it was like goosebumps up my spine. It was going up my
Mhm.
spine. And
Mhm.
I did come to that sort of conclusion, but I will tell you, it's easier said than done.
Oh,
Pain is
of
a
course.
very pain is a very overwhelming, pain. And I've had to step back and go, pain, just like feel it, but don't take it so seriously. There it is. There's that pain. Oh, there's the pain.
Yeah.
And the next thing that I'm moving into, which is really interesting because the body is still churning, is to recognize my full spectrum. This goes to what you were just saying of emotion.
Mm. Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
was like you, Cameron. I was always told you're too dramatic. You're too dramatic, and you're overly sensitive.
Oh my God, we are two peas in a pod.
Oh, I know. I was like, you're overly sensitive. I'm like, but that's who I am. And so what I realized last year when I started listening to my body is I jammed those emotions inside and it was affecting my body. I think part of the pain is when see, it's not too so I
Mhm.
want to share my thoughts on this. You can tell me what you think.
Yeah.
It's not when I said that it's not too much if you let it flow. It's too much if you try to hide it or stuff it down or don't show it or still keep that serious face even though you're in agony. That kind, right? Like that's when it's the emotion, em, uh, energy and motion. That's what Terry Martin says. He's a Meisner teacher. Energy and motion. You have to let it move through you. Just
Yeah. Because it will. That's what we forget is it's going to pass. This too shall pass. Like everything moves all the time. Nothing stays the same. That's
no,
one thing we can count on.
it doesn't.
It'll
But I
never be
think
the same.
we get afraid of it. We're afraid that it will overwhelm us. We're afraid that it's too much. We're afraid that we're too sensitive, and so we push it back, and then it does. Um,
Yeah.
Terry, this is a Meisner teacher that I interviewed. He's also my husband, but he talks about it like this, and I love it. He says it's like holding a glass of water. So you can hold a glass of water for a couple minutes, and it's no problem. But if someone says, "I want you to hold a glass of water all weekend," and you're
Oh
just
yeah.
holding it and holding it, it it gets harder and harder because it's that constant weight. And so when we hold back our feelings,
Mm.
it's like you can hold, oh sure, I can stuff it in for that call with mom, right? Or whatever, but but
Yeah.
then if you keep stuffing it in, it's like that glass of water. And
Yes.
it's a lot, you
Very
know.
much so.
So how
Yeah.
did I want to ask you this, and if it's too personal, just don't worry. You can just deflect it. But
I
well,
love
you
that.
said you got the yeah, you can deflect it, let you. But you said you got this diagnosis of the bipolar. How do you feel about that now? Do you think it was a true diagnosis, or do you think it was just a this woman has a strong feeling?
Yeah, it's interesting. I see it as it's my superpower.
That's loaded.
And
Yeah.
to be honest, like whatever as it listen, let's be honest. When I first was diagnosed, it crashed my whole life. Like I was
Right.
like, wait, what? And I don't want to be that. And I pushed against who I was, like how you said, to not be emotional and to not be intense. And I tried to suppress who I was. And I realized, well, that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to be myself. But now that I have an awareness around this, I can adjust accordingly to who I'm with. There are certain scenarios where I can't be 100% at 100% of my energy field because it doesn't fit. And I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean I'm not who I am. I just tone it down a little bit in that moment, and that's okay. Like I'm still me. It's just they just don't get all of me, which is
Right, right.
unfortunate for them because I think I'm really amazing and so much fun. I mean, life of the party kind of person. But there's places where it's appropriate and places where it's not, or in places where other people need to be center of attention and you've got to like, dial it down. But now that I understand who I am and how my brain works, I use it as my superpower. And that's what allows me to connect with people and to do the things that I do is that. And whether or not bipolar, it's
It's
such
such
a
a, yeah, loaded
yeah,
word.
it's
Hmm.
loaded.
Hmm.
And like anything, there's a spectrum, right? So like
Hmm.
on any spectrum, and by the way, everybody is on a spectrum. Whether you have OCD, I mean, everyone has a little bit of OCD
Oh, yeah.
somewhere. You know what I mean? Like if I eat one green M&M on this side, I have to eat one on that side. That was my childhood forever. I could never eat the last M&M because there was no match. But does that hurt my life? No, actually, it's better. Less sugar.
I'm sorry. I
But
love that. Anyway, go ahead.
right? I mean,
Mhm.
everyone's on a spectrum. And
Right.
once I accepted it, like how you said, like I accepted who I was and I allowed it to show up in a way that helped me instead of hindered my life. And that really is, I think, the key is to see what your strengths are and your weaknesses, your stretches, and to honor them. I mean, if people can see what's behind me, that's what these two paintings are about. They're actually two different personalities, and each facet and each color represents a different facet of who they are. And it's about celebrating who you are. And there's glitter on different ones, and the different colors that have glitter, those are the facets of your personality that are your stretches, that are things maybe you don't like your procrastination. I'm like, well, let's put glitter on that and let's celebrate your procrastination because I now use my procrastination as a tool to help me move forward. Like I know I don't do things till the last minute, fine, but when I do it really well and I go for it because it forces me to focus because I only have 3 hours left. So here's a focus 3 hours and I get it done. So instead of beating myself up about procrastination, I celebrate it. So it's all your perspective of how you look at yourself and how you look at life.
I love that. That's such a like a roundabout from this whole conversation is with right, isn't it? It's like a
Yeah.
summation. It's like when you hold back, it becomes a problem. But if you invite it, if you invite the good, the bad, the ugly, the oliveness of who you are,
Yes.
right? I love
Yes.
it.
I love the oliveness. All of this. That I love that you make up words like I do. We need to spend more time together
I
after
do.
this. Yeah.
I always make up words. I always make up
It's my
words.
favorite.
So I want to tell you, this has been a fun interview. And I want to say what I think one of your things that you should put down there and put glitter all over it is your ability to be so authentic and open and share who you are. That is a rare talent indeed. To just be yourself. And and I'm sure the listeners listening are all going, "Oh, I relate to that, and I relate to that, and I relate to that," and I love that. I'm sure you do a fantastic paintings, manifestation paintings because of that. Because when you put yourself there and you're so open and it's vulnerable, right? You have to be vulnerable. Then they can be vulnerable, right?
That's the idea. Thank you. I feel so seen. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I think it's lovely.
Best.
So, is there anything else? I hate to end this, but is there anything else that we haven't talked about? We've talked about a lot. This has been a
We have
wonderful.
talked about a lot. I mean, I would like to touch on my latest project because
Okay.
it's like my newest favorite thing. I did a love mural. I call it
Oh,
the love
cool.
mural. And it's the largest piece I've made. It's 7.5 feet tall by 25.5 feet wide. However, it's made with individual paintings. And the idea is so that and each painting is like a snowflake, right? They're all different, but they all say love on them. And the idea is that each painting is sold individually so that everyone could be a part of something greater than themselves and a part of love. And what my mission is to wrap our planet in the love frequency. So I really want to get these paintings all over the planet. I'm really like asking people like, who do you know here? Who do you know here? Like especially like Venezuela. I would love for a painting to be in Venezuela and, you know, be basically everywhere. But there's only 222 of them.
Oh my gosh.
And when someone owns a painting, they become an ambassador of love. And where that painting lives is basically an anchor into the planet. It's a touchstone in the planet. And I'm creating an app where you can see where all the paintings live. And it will look like, when you go on a flight and you see the flight patterns of planes and how it goes from one place to another place, and you see all these lines around the planet and then that network. That's what I'm going to create is that lattice network of the love frequency around the planet. And we're going to wrap the planet in love. And that is my mission. And every year I'm going to do a different frequency. So this year, now that we're in 2026,
Hmm.
my frequency is going to be peace because
Oh,
I think love is obviously the foundation for everything.
it is.
And I really, oh gosh, and now I'm heating up. I
Ah,
really want us to focus on peace. And I think that if we can all collectively do our part, not everybody, I personally work on the micro level. Like I work
right.
individually one-on-one. I know I'm not going to be an activist. I'm not going to work on the macro. That's not my calling. I work directly with one-on-one people. So I'm on the micro, but I feel like the micro can make such a big impact. So that's what I'm going towards. And every year is going to be a different frequency. So I look forward to spreading love all over the planet.
Do you have that mural like on your website? Can people go see the
I
the
do.
mural?
I
Okay.
do. At CameronCohenArt.com, there's a tab that says the love mural, and you could see
The whole
the
thing?
entirety of it. And then you can see all of the available pieces. And I saved 25. They're all 10-inch rounds because I want them to be like the planet, right? Like even though I know the planet's not a circle, it's okay. Don't get mad at me. I know it's like
No, I didn't say
oval.
anything.
But there's 25 pieces that someone can customize the colors. So I've done them in all colors, all color combinations. However, if you have something that's personal to you, I will work with you and we can create a customized piece, co-create a customized piece together. I only have 25 of those available. So
Oh,
I'm so excited to see how those look.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. And I want to go back to what you said. I think one person can make a difference even on the micro level. I think, you
Mhm.
touch two people and I always go back to that. This is how I think the same way. I go back to, I don't know if you remember there was a commercial back in the 80s or 70s. It was about shampoo and it says, and I tell two friends and they tell two friends and they tell, do you remember that commercial? Because
Yes.
it showed the multiplicity of
How
expansion.
fast it could spread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And peace and love. Definitely, definitely the world needs it. Right.
Yeah,
So,
we
so
all need it for ourselves and for the world. It's like
yeah.
a reminder, how I create these talismans. It's a reminder. It says love. It reminds you to not just love yourself, love others, love the planet, love animals, even inanimate objects, like treat everything with love, do everything with love. If that's your intention through your day, you're winning. You're winning,
Right.
and
Right.
good things
Good.
will happen. Good things will happen. That's how it works. What you put out comes back tenfold. So put out
Oh,
love and receive it.
thank you. Thank you, Cameron, for being on the show. This has been great. I
My
can't wait to
pleasure.
I can't wait to edit it because I can hear it again. And there were so many good things in there for me to grasp onto as well. Listeners, thanks for following the Spiritual Artist Podcast. You can go to YouTube and see the visual of this, or you can listen to it on any podcast player. But make sure you subscribe either on the podcast player or on YouTube because that helps me a lot. And it helps me when you give ratings So we're trying to expand and reach more people. But thank you for listening to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. And this is the thing. Now you need to go out there and be love. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to the Spiritual Artist Podcast. Whether you're watching this show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or iHeartRadio, make sure you choose the subscribe button so that you will receive updates when new segments are released. Most importantly, be still, listen, and know that you are a spiritual artist.